According to the Bible, the first people to live on Earth were famous for their longevity. Noah's grandfather Methuselah lived the longest, namely 969 years. But according to ancient legends, Methuselah was not the longest living man. Og lived much longer. He knew Noah himself, Abraham, and Moses. Who is Og? How did he manage to live so long, and why did he die? We will find out now. According to known data, Og was the king of the Amorites. He ruled 60 cities. But his main feature was his height, 4 meters. Why was Og so tall? By chance? No, he was simply the last of the giants. And according to legend, Og was born before the Great Flood. The beginning of Og's line was none other than a fallen angel named Shamhazai. He and Azazel went to earth to glorify God. But, as the Creator had warned, both angels succumbed to passions and earthly bliss. Shamhazai took first one woman as his wife, then another. The second marriage produced offspring. And the fruit of the relationship between the fallen angels and people were the Nephilim, giant and embittered monsters, slightly resembling people. Og was Shamhazai's grandson, partly because of the reproduction of the Nephilim, partly because of the debauchery of people. God sent a flood to the earth. The giants knew about the coming, but only mocked and were sure that no flood would harm them. Everything changed when the flood began. Most of the giants perished. Only a small tribe remained, hiding where the water did not reach, on the tops of the Canaan mountains. But Og did not belong to them. When he realized that he was only a few hours away from death, Og began to pray to God for salvation. He turned to Noah with the same prayers, promising that if Noah helped, Og would serve him and his descendants. In the end, it was decided to make an exception for Og. But then one problem arose. Og was a giant and could not fit into the ark even if he wanted to. Then Noah allowed him to hold on to the side of the ark, so the giant managed to survive. All the time until the water subsided, he held on to the ark with all his might, and Noah fed him through the window. When the flood ended, Og did not forget his oath. He served Noah and then his children and their children. He even killed his relatives who had taken refuge from the flood in the mountains. But time passed and the giant began to forget his promise. In the end, Og clashed with the descendants of Noah, who were commanded by the prophet Moses. The Jewish army crossed the river in the evening and set up camp. Waking up before sunrise, the Jews discovered that the enemy had managed to build a huge tower on the approaches to the camp during the night. But when the first rays of the sun illuminated it, the tower began to move. It was not a tower, but the giant Og, who was then the king of the Amorites, who occupied the region of Bashan, which is to the east of the Jordan. A battle began, known in history as the Battle of Edrei. In order to finish off the Jewish army at once, Og raised a mountain several kilometers in diameter above his head and planned to bring it down on the Jewish army. But then God intervened. At the behest of the Creator, crowds of locusts and ants flew at Og. They clung to the mountain and gnawed at it until it collapsed right on Og's head. But the giant did not die from this. While under the mountain, he began to gnaw at it himself. And according to legends, the giants had 16 rows of huge teeth, so gnawing at the mountain was not something impossible for Og. But according to the new command, the giant's teeth grew into the stones. Immobilized and enraged, he tried to break free, but his plans were disrupted by the prophet Moses himself. Having made a huge jump, Moses hit the giant on the ankle with his staff, and Og died on the spot. As a result, Moses, who was inferior to Og in strength, killed not only the last giant on earth, but also his sons and all his people, leaving him without a single surviving subject, and the Jews took possession of his territory. They recaptured all of Og's cities and completely defeated his army. After this, the antediluvian giants disappeared from the face of the earth forever and remained to exist only in ancient legends and traditions.